Now, yeah, Bob Costas, who, I've always liked to some extent for, he's a really, interesting, well-spoken guy, but he deals a lot mostly with sports. I think he did a fantastic job. I think everybody did, thought so with, Jerry Sandusky, and really exposed that monster for everybody to see. That was a fantastic interview. But, what he did yesterday was pretty inexcusable. I just found out about it this morning, and I'm pretty sticking by that, yeah.
We're talking about a hero. Let me tell you why Bob Costas is a former hero. He was in the movie Basketball. Come on. You remember the movie
awesome.
Basketball?
I loved Basketball.
It was hilarious. It was Trey Parker and Matt Stone, while South Park, I think it had just started. The movie's just zany. It's like an Airplane, watching Airplane or Naked Gun or something. Good, stupid fun. Some really clever jokes, some really stupid jokes, and a whole lot of stupid PG-13 jokes, as the South Park guys like to do. But Bob Costas was in there. He was really funny in that. And then the whole Bob Costas thing has changed because he made some comments recently. I don't know if you wanted to talk about exactly what Bob Costas is being scrutinized for saying, but it's got a lot of people fired up, and myself, I'm one of them.
No, this is really bad. I don't, I did a project almost a year ago called, what's it called, Idiocracy in the Fall of Rome, and I'm criticizing, Jim Rome and just any of these sports guys who we seem to really put up on a pedestal and really care about what they say. And the way that sports has kind of affected our society, where we're looking up to these people, and at some point it's really just bread and circus. And sports is one thing; it's interesting, but when these guys get up here and they've gotten too big of a role and they're starting to get involved in things other than sports, and they're crossing a dangerous line because so many people look up to them. And, we got to take a step back and say, this is just a sports guy. Let's leave the real issues out of it here. And that's, I don't like that direction. So, yeah, and Bob Costas, going on a big gun control rant. And it was just absolutely stupid. I mean, there was a horrible tragedy the other day with that Kansas City Chiefs player, killing him just in an epic, weird fashion in front of people and killing his. I mean, I don't know that poor young man or what happened or what led up to that. I have no idea. But to get up on the TV the next day when you have so many fans, people look up to Bob Costas, and then you're you're actually suggesting that wouldn't have happened if there weren't any guns involved. Like that would, if we could magically get rid of the guns, that would somehow prevent all these tragedies from occurring. I fail to understand the logic, and that's going from also some other Jason Whitlock, another sports writer. I don't know. So it's time to.
Here's the update.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just make sure we all know where we're at with this story. For me, I do a sports show called The Unhappy Hour over on thenewamericanmedia.com. So we cover a lot of sports stories all the time. I'm a huge sports fan. Romeo Crennel is the head coach of the Chiefs. Brady Quinn is the quarterback of the Chiefs. These are both castaways from the Cleveland Browns organization a few years ago. Romeo used to coach our team, and Brady Quinn was drafted by the Browns, and they kind of gave up on him. So I'm kind of watching this story. I'm sickened. I'm appalled. It's sad. They had a moment of silence at the Chiefs game, but not for the player that was dead, for victims of domestic violence. Let me just read this. Kansas City, Missouri, from ESPN.com. The family of the woman shot and killed by Kansas City Chiefs linebacker Jovan Belcher this weekend says they're brokenhearted. Belcher shot and killed his 22-year-old girlfriend, Cassandra Perkins, at their Kansas City home Saturday before driving to Arrowhead Stadium, where Belcher committed suicide in the practice facility's parking lot. That's kind of the situation that we're talking about here. So then Bob Costas has a few ideas. I'm watching the Chiefs. I don't know. I'm pulling for Coach Crennel and Brady Quinn. I hope things It's really impressive. This happened the day before the game. They were going to cancel the game, and the coach said, we're going to be thinking about this either way. At least we'll have 3 hours where we can calm down and kind of not think about this for a couple of hours. This is the most horrible thing. The guy killed his girlfriend, drove the facility, thanked the coach and thanked the general manager, Scott Pioli, who was also with the Cleveland Browns. And then he took a few steps away and shot himself in the head, killed himself right in front of his coaches. It's not that he just had to snap and then kill himself because of it. He went and put that image into the heads of all the people at that facility. It is horrible to think about what they must be going through. And as a team, the coach left it up to the players. The players said they wanted to play the game, and then they won. The interesting thing there is because the Chiefs suck. That was only the second win of their season. They're a terrible team. They're one of the worst teams, question marks at quarterback. Yesterday, Brady Quinn has an amazing day. He was like 19 of 23. He had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I believe those are close to the stats. And Romeo Crennel got a win, the second time of the year. That team really came together through adversity.
Did they fire Todd Haley this year, or was it the beginning of the year?
No, Haley's been gone. I'm
they replaced him with Romeo Crennel?
Yeah. Romeo Crennel came off that Bill Belichick tree. He used to be the defensive coordinator with the Patriots. That's why he was so sought after when the Browns got him. Yeah,
I thought he was I thought he was a little bit unsuccessful as a head coach, so I'm kind of surprised they would bring up retread like him instead of somebody different than the Chiefs. Not that the sports show, I do follow some of this. Yeah.
A lot of times you got to fail a few times to figure out what you're doing wrong. And that's unfortunately and also the beauty of what it means to be human. If you're getting it right, you don't really have much to learn because you already got it. You're already decent at that thing. What is not working so well? What do you need to try some new strategies on? What do you need to try to focus on and come up with a good plan? Try something different. And that's what an NFL head coach has to do every week. You play a different team with different players, with different assistant coaches, with different payrolls, with different expectations, with different private stuff going on in your personal life. It doesn't matter. You still have to kind of be smart. You have to have a few, I don't know, you just got to stick to it. You can't give up. That's kind of the point I'm getting at here, because sports really is insignificant. It's one of the most insignificant wastes of time next to soap operas. Who else can I offend here?
Unfortunately, yes, and it's amazing because I'm watching this, like the NFL. I watch a little bit of football still, not anything close to like I used to. Now I only watch maybe 30 or 40 minutes of it rather than 8 hours every Sunday or more. But it's amazing how people they just worship these sports, the athletes. And the commentators that are just on this pedestal, like they're on a dangerous level of kind of defining reality, rather than just being noted for you're just covering sports, and sports is fun and stuff like that, but it's gotten away from us. This is not what our society is meant to be, worshiping a bunch of athletes. I mean, it's turning us into an idiocracy, and it's dangerous.
Well, and here's the last reason why it's dangerous. I know we're coming up to commercial break, and we will have to take that in I don't know, 30, 60 seconds. But one of the things that I like about sports is that it teaches us a lesson. And for me, I've gone through a lot of things personally with being ineligible, and I couldn't play my sophomore year of football, and I was at most of the practices. I couldn't ride the team bus. I couldn't dress for games. Because I got one bad grade in one class in one quarter of one school year. It was weird, but it taught me this: you don't give up. That's what America's supposed to be. I'm not going to talk anything bad about any other country, but what we're supposed to be here is a place that doesn't give up. This is a place that if you get your ass kicked, you dust yourself off and you stand up. You think, well, what's a better way to attack this situation? I'm not going to let it defeat me. And that's the point of sports. For me, it teaches a country how to, there's a phrase, man up. That doesn't mean man or woman. It just means, come on, rise to the occasion. What do you got? What is the best that you have? I'm challenging you right now. And when you see an athlete kill himself, I mean, they're supposed to be warriors that never give up. What has snapped to make a warrior kill, and then give up. Because that's not where we need to be as a nation. And when our sports stars who teach us not to give up start giving up, especially with suicide, that's the ultimate, I am opting out of this system. It's an interesting mix we have now with messages that's sending. Like, we will never quit working to be better next week versus I am so angry I'm going to kill and then kill myself. You know, when people have that mentality, when people think that way, like the Kansas City Chiefs player, you know, I don't even need to say his name. I don't care.
Well, I don't know, Brian. I think we should follow Bob Costas' advice. We should just get rid of all guns. I think that's the problem. And then people won't commit suicide anymore or shoot people anymore. That seems to be the logical solution in my world. I don't know what world you live in, but all right.
Bob Costas,
you know, we can agree to disagree. All right.
He says, handguns do not enhance our safety. They exacerbate our flaws, tempt us
Maybe
to
should go live in
escalate
Chicago.
arguments.
Yeah, why don't you go move to Chicago for Bob? Or Oakland. How about Oakland? Yeah, Oakland. Move Bob Costas. Why don't you go live in Oakland or Detroit, and then why don't you, tell don't carry any guns, and let us know how that all works out for you, Bob.
Yeah, it's going great in Chicago. How many murders a day? We got our friend Ben Weinbrough of Existential Radio. He's out there in Chicago. He sees it. It's crazy. But he says here, our current gun culture. This is from Jason Whitlock. Let me switch over to him.
Yes.
Our current gun culture ensures that more and more domestic disputes will end in the ultimate tragedy, and that more convenience store confrontations over loud music coming from a car will leave more teenage boys bloodied and dead. But here is what I believe. If Jovan Belcher, the guy that killed and then killed himself, if Jovan didn't possess a gun, he and Cassandra Perkins would both be alive today. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure that you can't. There's no way of proving that, but yeah, I guess it sounds good.
Yeah. So just to wrap this up here, handguns do not enhance our safety. This is Bob Costas. They exacerbate our flaws. They tempt us to escalate arguments and bait us into embracing confrontation rather than avoiding it. In the coming days, Jovan Belcher's actions and their possible connection to football will be analyzed. Who knows? And he's, of course, referring to the repetitive brain injuries that have led to, like, Junior Seau. And here's the thing: I fell victim to it myself. I said that they led to. There is now concern that football players are more susceptible to having physiological problems where they snap and even kill themselves. And so now it's like a double issue on top of the fact that this idiot just went and killed somebody and just showed the Chiefs organization something so unbelievable they'll never be able to wipe it from their eyes. But here we are talking about the Second Amendment, and we're talking about repetitive brain injuries. Repetitive brain injuries, that's a good thing. This Second Amendment crap needs to stop, and I think maybe we could address that on the other side of the break, Blake. Yeah, no, absolutely. I was about to say, concussions or, who knows? Wouldn't that be ironic if they found out that, the guy had brain trauma and maybe that's why he snapped was because of concussions and that's why he ultimately did this stuff. And that's what they're saying about the NFL. What did the NFL know about concussions? I mean, Jim McMahon, he played on that undefeated 85 Chicago Bears football team. He is suffering from dementia big time. A lot of the old school cats that have passed away in the past 10 or 20 years, they've exhibited those signs too. So this doesn't bode well for the long-term health of people. And that's why when it comes to genetically modified foods or flu vaccines, you know what, or saying, trust me, I can't wait until we pass it to find out what's in it, Nancy Pelosi, about a 1,700-page health care plan that nobody read, 2,700. No, I'm not just going to take your word for it. I'm concerned enough to do additional research, and I'd appreciate it if you stopped pressuring me about it kind of feeling,
No, absolutely, and yes, it's a horrible thing with all these old football players. My heart goes out for them, and they obviously, there's a fine line between being tough and being stupid, and it's not even their fault for being, they're stupid, but they're being put into these positions, and the pressure's on for them to perform and go back out there, and they need to keep their job or what have you. There's so many different angles on that, and I've never had a concussion. I don't know what that's like, but yeah, it's really affecting these athletes. I would love to see better equipment or something that could be done to save that. And I really disgusts me when I hear people be like, oh yeah, they're warriors and that's what they're supposed to do and blah blah blah, and that's just not cool when they're watching these guys fall apart later in their lives. That's why, so you can get your little sick entertainment, and it's fun to watch football and watch the big hits and stuff like that, but we got to do a better job of protecting our fellow humans. And yeah, there's a lot of things that could be going on with these athletes. Who knows? And I remember a few years ago, one of my very favorite athletes, really funny, interesting guy, and turned actor. Remember Quentin Rampage Jackson, UFC player? Yeah, remember when he went on some bizarre drive and he crashed into some stuff and didn't remember, and he wasn't himself for a couple days, and who knows what these athletes are going through and stuff like that. And I don't want to see these guys getting hurt. And Junior Seau was a great guy, and that was really sad. Jim McMahon, also another great guy. It was the '85 Bears. Everybody remembers that, and I don't want to be seeing this stuff keep happening in the future. So yeah, there could be a lot more stuff behind the scenes here than Bob Costas trying to oversimplify these situations. And I even saw an interesting comment saying that if this Jovan's girlfriend had a gun, then that wouldn't have happened, or who knows. It just, so many different ways. You can't just oversimplify this stuff. So.
Well, and then
anyway.
Some people take it too far. We had on December 2nd, yesterday, we had a tweet on follow us on Twitter. We're at American_media_, but we had a tweet from Silence Dogood, at Silence_Dogood8. It says, at American_media_. How many times have your thoughts and prayers gone out to the families of service members who've committed suicide? And so right off the bat, I was like, shut up. That's not the conversation I'm having. What's wrong with you? Why are you being a jerk?
Yeah, more of our soldiers are dying from suicide now than actually dying in combat. I mean, there's some serious things going on here.
Well, the whole thread of this goes like this. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the Kansas City Chiefs family, we say, over here at the New American Media, during this murder-suicide mess. We said, horrible crime, why involve Chiefs staff? Silence Dogood says, how many times have your thoughts and prayers gone out to the families of service members who've committed suicide? Huh? #one a day. But then I thought about it. I'm like, you're changing the subject, and I wasn't saying anything negative about families of service members. So we replied, you are absolutely correct. PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder, and other combat-related trauma is a big deal. USA needs to help these heroes a lot more. And I think
they're
that's
making a vaccine for that. Brian, did you? I know this. This happened like a month ago. Someone was designing a vaccine to prevent suicides. No, I'm going to have to look that up. But I'm going to have to Google that.
We just went in a completely synchronistic circle, starting with vaccines and ending in vaccines. Like we planned the segment that way. That was very nicely done because we're a commercial break.
Yeah, we're getting there. We got a few minutes. We can take one early and then just hit a big news blitz on the other side because, yes, we still want to get to this, the Timmy Geithner making his rounds.
Got to get into that.
Yeah.
Let me say this. Please, if you haven't watched it, don't waste your time. It is. Yeah, it's completely absurd. Please watch it, read it if you're interested because you don't ever take our word for anything. I'm just saying, I watched this thing. And I found myself almost yelling at the TV like it's a sports game, and I'm used to yelling because I'm a Cleveland sports fan. We don't win championships in many decades in any sport for some reason, but I was just almost yelling at the screen
kind of did in
at Tim Geithner's lies. What's that?
I was saying you got to feel like part of it, right? In the 2000 Ravens, that was kind of like the Browns, or with the Miami Heat.
Oh,
it was kind of like the Cleveland. No, maybe not quite, but
No, they
Sorry,
called the Dallas. They called the Dallas Mavericks instead of the Dallas Mavs. They called them the Dallas Cavs, and they blended the logos together. Yeah, it was everything was beat the Heat, and it was that we have adopted other teams that can beat those in position to, because LeBron James really left Cleveland in complete shambles. He gave up on a difficult quest. That's another reason why this murder-suicide thing is horrible. The message that you don't give up, the message that sports teaches you is don't give up. You can become Rocky Balboa, hitting frozen beef, running up the stairs and drinking raw eggs. If you bust your ass, you can get this right in America. You can become something. You can become a champion. That is the story of what America is. And when LeBron James has to just give up, I'm not hating on him as a player.
Right,
that guy has probably been the best player in the NBA for 6 years. He's been the best player in the NBA when Kobe and Nash were getting MVP trophies. I have loved his game, but for him as a player to just give up and quit and bounce and say, piss off, I don't care about you anymore if you collapse at the end of this, whatever. My buddy down here with his team, they've been gutting their payroll for years because we were planning to dump you in the meantime. You feel a little jaded. It makes you a little upset.
I can tell.
But you're not supposed to give up. And I don't wish, horrible things like this Chiefs story. There's a thin line between rooting and hate, and that's something where people have got to be careful of politics, of sports, and things that we're into causing us to hate, because it doesn't really do anything positive for the person. As Maya Angelou and Dave Chappelle told me, it's like a cancer. It just hurts you if you hold on to hate. And that's a lot of what I'm feeling right now, whether it's Israel, Islamic countries, whether it's sports fans, Democrats, Republicans, rich and poor, middle class versus everyone. I don't know what it is, but we just need to find a better way forward now that we're putting all of the pieces back into the Monopoly box, and we're going again, because we don't need to hate in this process. You congratulate an opponent, or at least you respect his game. LeBron James had always choked when the spotlight came on the brightest. He left us high and dry. His game changed. He went from a fun-loving, outgoing type of personality all year round, and when the playoffs started, he changed. He got timid. He clammed up. The whole team chemistry went off, and it seemed like he sure as hell blamed everyone around him, the coaches, the supporting cast, blamed everyone else around him and didn't look in the mirror. He had to lose to the Mavericks to figure out, this is what it means to become a champion. I thought it was my team and my teammates and my coaches. Okay, and LeBron James became a champion last year. Yeah, I don't like that it was on another team because I'm a Cavs fan. Not a LeBron James fan.
That really did set you off, too.
Oh, buddy, we're talking sports today, but, it's something that we have to maintain control on, and we got to be careful before we jump to conclusions like Bob Costas or Jason Whitlock was the other day.
Yeah.
Bob
Costas.
Yeah. You can't just jump to conclusions. You can't just say, it's because of concussions. Oh, it's because of guns. Oh, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of that. Oh, the Tea Party are crazy. Oh, Occupy is totally stupid. There's a lot more to that. We have to be willing to dig deeper into these issues. And sports is a vehicle to help you think of strategies. If you're playing chess, it helps you come up with better strategies on offense and defense and special teams. There are beautiful lessons in sports, and I guess that's maybe why I love it so much. But it was a really hard week this week for the NFL, for the Chiefs in particular, and even for the Cleveland Browns. One of their grounds crewmen killed himself at the Browns training facility, I think the same exact day. So it's just weird.
Maybe the day after, and who knows if that had something to do with that, if there was a connection.
Doubtful, but it's weird. So anyway,
it's too weird for it to almost be a coincidence, but you never know. But it's not. That's weird, even just going there. Like, why? Never mind.
Why do you do that in general? Why do you do that in the same profession? Why do you do it in the same profession on the same day?
Yeah, in front of a bunch of other people. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Anyway, that is strange.